Quit playing with your dinky. What's up, guys? Matt here, coming at you with another quick video. Today we're going to talk about this DinkyRC ESC. This is the brushless version. These things have been gaining a lot of traction and a lot of people really loving them. So, you know, I kind of held out on them for a little bit because I haven't had any trouble with my Furitek's. I really like the ease of programming them through my phone, all of that stuff. But a lot of people are looking for different options, and I thought I've got to check this out for you guys. So I picked up one of these. Now there's a couple ways you can do this. When you go to their site to buy this, if you let them know, leave them some notes, what you're running, your setup, motor, axles, whatever, gearing, they'll kind of tune this for you. Me, of course, I got to go about things the hard way, but I kind of wanted to know what it would take for me to tune this thing, because if I run it in here for a little bit and I run it in here, then I want to move it to that. I want to be able to change things myself. So I went on there, didn't give them any notes. I bought the 7.4 BEC setup. You have to specify that, and just ordered it and seen what showed up basically. So I got this in, and if you watched my build on the Slayer, you know I was running the Nano BAM motor in here, and it was a little glitchy with the Lizard Pro. I started tuning that thing, got it tuned pretty well. It's running quite a bit better, but it made me wonder like how this thing would run with it. So I plugged this straight in, and it was crazy smooth. All right, no tuning, just the way they sent it to me. Crazy smooth. I just didn't have any drag brake. So I was like, okay, we got to figure out how to tune this. That's what I had planned on doing anyways, but I was just curious how it would run straight out of the box. So I downloaded the multi-ESC config tool 1.82, I think it was, and connected this to my programmer that I had. So here's the thing. If you order this, they're $60. If you leave them notes for what you're going to be running, you don't have to do any of this programming, okay? But I wanted to be able to do it on my own. So they do have a programmer you can buy for like $5 or $6, I think, so that you can do this exact thing. I already had this. I was hoping it would work, and it did. So I connected this to my computer, got it all up and running, changed a few settings. I think I now have drag brake on here. I got it tuned for the 3200 kV of this motor, got the poles changed to match this motor, everything, and now I'm ready to try this thing out again. So I'm going to give you a few clips running the Lizard Pro in here with kind of the tune that I have for it now, and then we're going to install this. I'll show you how you install this because it's a little bit different, and then we'll go run this. So let's check this thing out with the Furitek, then we'll get to the Dinky. Real quick, I wanted to show a few options for batteries you can run on this BOA mount from Texoma. Also, this obviously 120 mile pack fits in there very well. That's what I've been running a lot when I really want to get slay some lines. That is a nice small pack, but it dies pretty quick. So you can fit the 300 mile from Palm Power. You can see there, fits, everything works fine. Of course, you'd kind of tuck your wires up here, but that works. And all of these I have Velcro on the bottom because I use them in other rigs, and it kind of helps them to fit a little tighter in here to where they won't slide around a lot. This Orlandoo 260 mil. It's a little bit tighter, but it does fit. It's a pretty good fit for it, actually. So I like that fit. The FMS batteries will fit as well. That's actually a pretty good fit. This Orlandoo 120, very similar to the Palm Power 120. It's probably the same battery. Mine's swelled a little bit, so it's a little tighter. You can see those are probably the same battery, just different labels slapped on them. And then this Matrix 250. I think I got this off of Amazon a long time ago, but it's a very good fit as well. So if you're wanting just a little more runtime, something like that works really well. And it has the JST plug on it that I use. So just a couple options there I wanted to show you guys really quick. Oh, and this G&B 350 pack from Amazon fits it really well. Also, it's a little longer, sticks out a bit, but you'd have a little longer runtime, so that's a good option as well. For these, you will need like an adapter of some sort, because you can see how long the battery leads are on these. But I usually just hook up a little adapter like this, and it works fine. Just so you can see the size difference here, or the size comparison before I install the Dinky. These are very similar, but the Dinky is actually a little bit smaller. From the pictures and stuff I'd seen, I thought it looked a little bulky. Definitely not the case. It's a little more narrow, a little bit, tiny bit shorter, I guess, because you don't have the connector there sticking out. Wires are basically the same cluster of wires. Those kind of match up in my opinion. You do have this coming off instead of just the plug here, but that's you know, a little bit of extra wire, but it gives you a little more play where you can mount your ESC, I guess. So very similar in size, but the Dinky is a little bit smaller. And then obviously I left the Bluetooth plugged into this. This doesn't have Bluetooth at all. It has to be connected to the PC to tune it. I think I got my drag brake set now. I turned it all the way up, and then there's several other things you can adjust in there. Your sign startup and stuff, that's basically like the FOC, the low speed. So decent amount of tuning in there. There's no throttle curve that I've seen, unless there's more to this program. I don't know, I'm learning this stuff as I go, but not really any like throttle curve or anything that you can change, but you know, you can do a lot of that with stuff like this. But let's get this installed. I'll show you really quick. So you have one plug on the Furitek that goes into your channel 2. This one, you're going to plug this plug into your channel 2 with your black to the ground, just like always. And then you're going to plug this one into any other channel on your receiver, the same direction. And that's it as far as that goes. Then plug your motor in, like always. And they do have a brushed version of this. I think they are working on making one unit that will do both, that is switchable. And hopefully like an app or something like that that allows us to program this thing on the fly. But that's pretty much it right there. Then you'll just install this thing into your truck, and we'll hook it up and go run it. So I started out with the Lizard Pro, hit all of these lines, and then went right back after installing the DinkyRC ESC. And I got to say, these things are almost identical in performance. The Furitek is running pretty good now with the NanoBam after tuning it a little bit. I still would go with like the S&P motor, or probably even the Revenge of Pancake motor, or the Mini Komodo. Any of those, in my opinion, over the NanoBam. I don't know. I'm not quite feeling the hype on the NanoBam. I mean, it's a great motor. Now that I have it tuned in, it's running fine, but it's not as smooth as some others. And you know, maybe when I bump up to 3S, and look at the Dinky slow crawl, it's got that very, very slow crawl. But maybe if I bump up to 3S or something like that, I'll really notice the wheel speed of this thing. But to me, it's just very comparable to like the ROP motor, but that thing seemed a little smoother to me. I don't know, but you can tell this Dinky, it's very smooth. You know, it takes a little bit of tuning, and that's kind of a hassle because you got to go back and forth to the computer, but it's very capable. And you'll see back to back with the Lizard, you probably couldn't even tell the difference if I didn't put the label at the bottom there. I can feel the difference in the throttle when I go to launch over something. When I really want to hop over something, the power is a little more instant with the Lizard Pro, and it's a little more delayed with the Dinky. So I think that's in the tuning, and I adjust that a little bit later, and I'll show you that. But both of these crawling very good. You know, couple little bonuses to the Furitek make it worth the price difference, in my opinion. The ease of tuning out on the fly is worth the price difference to me. And then you can also run brushed versus brushless. But this Dinky is a very, very good ESC. I'm not trying to say it's not amazing. It's very good. So I was very happy with this thing. Like I said, you probably couldn't even tell the difference. If I didn't put the label down there at the bottom right, you'd never know which was which, because they felt almost identical crawling besides the punch. And I think I can adjust that completely out on the Dinky and really, really enjoy this thing. So I wanted to test the drag brake coming down this after changing that setting, because when I first installed this, it had like 0. And now it's running great. You know, it feels really well, on par with everything else. This is a 25 amp brushless ESC. The BEC amperage is at 2.5 amp with a 3 amp peak. So when you're purchasing this, you want to specify if you're going to be running at 6.5 volts, 7.4, or 8.4. If you're going with a more stockish truck, I guess, than a weaker servo, like budget servo, maybe you do the 6.5 volt. Just check your servo specs and see what you can get away with. For me, I would most of the time just go for the 8.4 because I want all that power. But this one is the 7.4 because that's all that was available when I placed my order. And I didn't have any brownouts or anything like that. You can see right there, the Lizard Pro hopped over that rock very quick, very snappy, just boom, instant power. Right here, you'll notice I struggle with the Dinky. See how that just didn't have the punch? And then this layer took a beating. All right. But when I did come back and I knew that it wasn't as instant, that it had a little wind up to it, I was able to kind of allow for that and still make it over this rock. But I did go back in later and change some settings to try to address that. So this is a climb right here that I definitely wanted to test both of these, because trying to get up this crack is really putting a lot of strain on the motor. I have to hook that front left tire right there. You can see it gets all that pressure on it to be able to pull the truck up. And when it gets that pressure on it, that's where this motor was really shaking and rattling before with the Lizard Pro, before I, tuned it. You can tell here it handled it much better. There's a little shimmy every now and then, but that's fine. It's under crazy load, and I can deal with that. So the Lizard Pro is tuned in very well now for this motor and running well. But the Dinky did it just as well, I think, in my opinion. Maybe a tiny bit more stutter in there, but I mean, if I didn't know which one I was running, you just handed me the controller, I couldn't tell the difference between how these two handled this situation. And this is one of those, where when you're getting in those binds, that's where you kind of find out like what it's going to do, and you'll see it handles it really well. So I apologize for the wind noise. It's just always windy here, and doesn't matter what I do, it doesn't really help it. But you can see there, the Lizard Pro, I think you can hear it. I tried to let you hear that thing. It's a little more instant when I punch the throttle, but it still didn't quite jump that like it does a lot of times. And you'll notice here, the Dinky just don't quite have that kick that's like instant. It just takes it a second to kind of wind up. But look at the Slayer taking this beating. Like I have wedged this thing, crammed it, and no issues so far. And I've been giving it some time. And see there, like it just all of a sudden, if I just hold that throttle, like it will get through that little hesitation, and boom, it's gone. And so that's where I went in and kind of made some adjustments and really helped that quite a bit. This is another spot I was really noticing the shake in this motor before. You can see it a little bit here. This is a very steep incline, and you almost kind of have to use the sidewall of the front left tire on that rock on the left side a little bit, so it gets in just enough bind where it causes it to stutter a tiny bit. You can see the Lizard Pro handled it really well now that I've got it kind of tuned in a little. But the Dinky did just as well, in my opinion. And you'll see here, like, again, I couldn't even tell the difference if I didn't know which one was in it. Okay, so I kind of wanted to try addressing that slow windup. I think I know the setting I need to adjust with that, but you can see I just brought this back in, disconnected it, hooked the battery up, hooked this into the programmer, which runs to the computer down there. This is where I'm definitely going to give Furitek the advantage right now, because this drives me nuts, having to stop crawling, come in here, do all this. But, you know, once you get it tuned to what you want, we should be good. So this is what I've been doing. I don't know if this is correct or not. You want direct connect, hit connect, then you're going to hit this M1, connecting to ESC. Boom, there's our settings. And I think that sign startup range is what we want to adjust. That is kind of like our FOC, how much FOC we have. So it's kind of taking a bit for that thing to wind up and really have the punch. I want it to have a lot of punch. I may even bump my startup power up a little bit, just to kind of see. I don't know. I'm just guessing here, guys. So let's try that and just see what that does. But you can see here some of your stuff. If your motor's backwards and you don't want to change it on your transmitter, you can just click this reverse rotation. Don't know what half of this stuff is. Bidirectional, of course, you want forward and reverse. You don't want this stuck motor or rotor protection on. That's for drones. Like if the propeller gets stuck, it'll shut down, and you don't want that on a crawler, because if this thing gets in a bind, you don't want it shutting off. Brake on stop, that's where I adjusted my drag brake right here. Crank that all the way up. It's still a bit light on drag brake, but it definitely gets by. And the sinusoidal startup. That is kind of like our FOC, I think. So that's why I'm adjusting some of that. But we will save these settings. Boom, you can see successful. We'll take this back out and see how it does. So this is after making some adjustments. You'll see when I punch this, it's still got a little bit of wind up, but it actually made it over that first try. You know, maybe I'm getting a little more used to the delay, and I know to punch a little early, but I hit it again just to kind of get the feel for it. And if you listen, you can kind of hear it wind up. Like, it just takes it a split second. So I'm going to go back in, reduce those numbers, and I don't know, change them around. Maybe I'll talk to the guys at Dinky and see, you know, exactly what I need to adjust. Right there, you can see it's got some snap to it when it takes off. So it's just slightly delayed, but I think I can work that out in the settings, and this thing will be on par with the Furitek. So what are my final thoughts? Dude, for 59 bucks shipped, this thing is legit. I'm 100% gonna go cancel that Spectrum combo. I'm not paying 90 bucks for that thing just to test it. Sorry for the ones who wanted to see that, but it looks terrible. And when we have options like this out there, I mean, I don't know why anybody would even consider that thing. You know, luckily we have a bunch of good motors that we're able to choose from. Mofo's given us tons of different motors, Furitek, lots of different motors that all work very well for different applications. We've had Furitek ESCs for so long, and now we have this Dinky that we can play with. So definitely going to go cancel that order for the Spectrum and just order a couple more of these. I think the 8.4 volts are in stock. I'm going to order them before you guys do, so better jump on it. I'll link it in the description. And this thing is really good. You know, the Furitek still has some perks, the ease of the tuning on the fly. I can do it on my phone while I'm out crawling. You know, maybe I'll put this config tool on my laptop or something. I could take it along, make changes on the fly. Once you get this dialed in, I think you're going to be pretty good. It did feel like there was a little more lag to the punch. Like when I would hit the throttle, it has the punch, but it takes it just a split second to kind of wind up. Turning that sine startup range down a little bit did help that. So I'm probably going to turn it down even more because it didn't seem to really affect the slow crawl. It still crawls great. So if I can get that just a little more instant, where this seems to be a little more instant as well, be very happy with that. But overall, this is an awesome just choice that we have. You know, lots of people were looking for something else. I love the Furiteks. I still will run these in most everything, but I'd like to try some of these out in some other rigs as well. So it's great to have options, and this is definitely a good one. So I haven't even talked to anybody with Dinky RC, so they don't even know I'm doing this video. So it worked out, and I may send them a couple questions, and I'm sure they will respond very quickly. They're very active on Facebook, I know. And so should be a really good company to deal with. I'm definitely ordering another one at least. So I appreciate you guys watching. Please share the video, like, whatever. Just trying to get these videos out there. You know, I like getting honest reviews and opinions on things out there for as many people as possible. So those shares really help. I appreciate you guys. Let me know what you think I need to do or what I should do better. And just thank you for all that you do. Peace.